In 1982, social forestry program in Maharashtra was reoriented and strengthened with the formation of an independent department of horticulture and social forestry. This department was totally separate from the traditional forest department of the state. The new and growing organization of the social forestry received a push with the help of substantial financial assistance from USA till 1990 and later on by the government itself. Today, social forestry department has completed more than 15 years in the state. Just to make our viewers aware about the latest activities of the department in the state, we have invited one of the most eminent personalities from state social forestry department. Meet Mr. R.B. Sule,
Hello.
who is director and chief conservator of forest, government of Maharashtra. During his long 34 years of service, he worked as a district and regional head in some of the environmentally sensitive areas of the state. He also worked as a joint secretary in the Secretariat of Government of Maharashtra. Mr. Sule, I am aware that your department has completed more than 15 years in the state. Still, I am curious to know uh, the existence of your department in 1982. What was the need of formulating a new department of social forestry?
See, over a period of overuse of the forest resources in the state and all over the country as such, a need was felt to revise the forest resources, to revamp the department, and in fact to make the forest more public oriented also. That was the need felt. And the National Commission on Agriculture in their report of 1976
76.
suggested a two-pronged approach for achieving this end. On one side they wanted the forest department to be strengthened, and on the other side they wanted a new organization like say social forestry to be created. In 1976 actually social forestry program which the NCA perhaps wanted to have was of four different types. They first wanted to have the farm forestry program, wherein they wanted the farmers to plant trees on the bunds of their farms, in the backyards of their houses, on the wetlands possessed by them, and all that. That kind was that program was supposed to be the farm forestry program. On the other front, they also wanted the degraded areas to be reforested. The community lands which are close to habitations are generally deprived of all the timber and small timber, say fuel wood also.
Like Gairans.
Yeah, like gairans or community lands which are very close to, say, panchayat lands which are very close to communities, villages. And even then, see, the root stock is there in the soil. Such areas are revised only just by protection also. And ultimately, the village communities benefited by revisement of such areas. On the third kind of work which they wanted us to take was the linear plantations, as they call, say roadside plantations, avenue plantations, canal side plantations, and all such kinds. And also the entertainment forestry or the such type of program also was proposed under the social forestry aspect.
In 1982, the USAID social forestry project was launched in Maharashtra. So,
Yeah.
what were the objectives of the project and how did you achieve these objectives?
In 1982, when the department was created, actually there were many objectives. The first and foremost objective was to strengthen the department, to teach or to imbibe the forest awareness among village communities, so that they themselves take up the afforestation program over the community lands. That was the first and foremost thing. And for achieving this, of course, they wanted a large scale training program to be undertaken, because when you take up a new program, the staff, the original forest department staff, was necessary to be reoriented or sensitized towards this approach, because it was entirely a different approach. That was the first and foremost thing which they wanted. And then subsequently there were many other things, say like reduction in the deforestation, space of deforestation, and many other things.
Environmental balance.
Yeah, environmental balance and many other aspects were inculcated. The first thing was to teach the community to grow their own forests. That was the main crux or the core of the program.
So, a lot of motivation and extension
Yes,
activities were taken
actually,
up.
in fact, a large scale training program was undertaken. Almost around 1 lakh of people were trained. Of that, around say 1 lakh and 15,000 were the real grassroots level workers or the village level workers, which were trained during the span of 1982 to 1990. That was a great achievement. And all the other, see the even around 50,000, 60,000 of the district level workers, the regional level workers and the officers, the NGOs, and also at the some of the higher officers also were trained abroad. And this training program was very useful. In fact, when the USAID program and the see it ended in 1990, they had the the Directorate of Economics and Statistics of the state government, as well as the USAID, the evaluation team which had visited us. They had commended our efforts. They have said that in a short span of 10 years, the Maharashtra state had achieved great results in sensitizing the people. And each village, perhaps they had said that almost 90% of the villagers knew the need of afforestation or the need or they understood the need of why the trees are necessary. And that kind of a remark they had made, that was commendable.
And what is the extent of wetland tackled by plantation or?
See, actually, what I would term it, the physical achievement itself is cannot be compared. See, we have large stretches of wastelands, but even then, around 4,300 villages and approximately 75,000 hectares were covered under these programs, and community assets were created on the lands which were close to the villages. Even now, you can, if you go across the state of Maharashtra, at many places near the villages, you will find these small grooves, small wood lots created by the social forest
Trees
department.
standing on the
Trees
fields of the
standing on the
farmer.
fields of farmers.
Right. So, after the completion of social forestry project in 1990, what was the source of funding for social forestry and
No,
what activities were taken?
actually, in during that short span of say 2-3 years, we had our own annual programs also. Even now, we have our annual programs. But we are lucky to have the World Bank aided Maharashtra Forestry Project, which came into being in May 1992. And we have now the planned programs of the state government, and we also have the Maharashtra Forestry Project aided by the World Bank, and there are also some programs therein also.
But in 1992, again social forestry department was attached to the water conservation department of the state. Was there any substantial change in the past objectives of the department later on?
No, in fact, see that need was a new department was created, of water conservation department was created, and the motive behind creating that department was little different. Main emphasis was given to see stopping of the water, as they call it, or see more and more water should percolate see in the earth, and then only it will reboise the streams, the rivers, and also the wells and all that kind. So, for achieving this, they had pulled together 4 different departments and put them in the water conservation department. And the reach to bottom approach in soil conservation programs was necessary to be achieved to achieve this particular end of massive water conservation. And they put in they sort of soil conservation department, which was part of the agriculture department, that was the first department, then the minor irrigation department, then the groundwater survey directorate and the social forestry directorate. These 4 departments were identified for achieving these aims, and for achieving, I mean, when you say reach to bottom, there is a strata, because regions are generally covered by these community lands or the forest lands where social forestry department has to work. The mainlands are generally occupied by the agriculture department, where the soil conservation department comes into force. All the groundwater resources which are to be identified or new wells to be dug up and all that, there the groundwater department comes into being. And all the rivulets or the streams which ultimately see, I mean the watershed and all the water which flows into the water, the rivulets, Where that stopped, there the minor irrigation department. So, all these 4 departments were put together, and village approach was taken in achieving this. The village as a unit was necessary to be tackled.
Integrated approach was
Integrated
taken.
approach, all 4 departments working together.
So, there was an acute scarcity of water in some of the villages.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
with this program, to some extent, I think you solved
Positively.
the
Because
problem
of the
of water.
integrated approach, all the 4 departments will always plan out their own things in a village, and they'll try to achieve all those objectives which they want to be achieved in that village. That kind of an approach was there.
Our National Forest Policy in 1988 emphasizes participation of people in protection and development of our forests.
Yeah.
Will you please tell us about some of the ongoing schemes of the social forestry to involve the people actively?
So, in fact, what I would say is that all our schemes, the plan schemes or the other schemes which we implement, execute in the field, have these kind of an approach. I mean, the people's participation. See, before I go with the actual people's participatory programs, we are also having other programs. See, of the, as I said earlier, the state plan programs, wherein we undertake plantations over the private wastelands, we undertake plantations over the community wastelands, we also afforest the sea coast, the sea and the shorelines. We have also undertaken plantations to some extent along the roads, but that is a very small component. A major program is our nursery program, and perhaps you must have heard about our Kisan Ropawatika program, wherein we give around say a 15 paise component each plant we give as towards material cost to the beneficiary or to the farmer who undertakes to take up our nurseries.
Polythene bags and seeds,
Polythene bags and seeds and the like are supplied to him. He, with his own labor and the water from his resources, he raises the nursery, and in this period now, this July and August, 50% of the stock we buy back at a guaranteed price, and rest of the 50% is free to distribute to others. There also the people's participation, you can say, is always present. So, as I said earlier, in all our programs, this people's participation is a must, is a thing which is necessary always, because without their participation, none of our programs could be successful.
But in the beginning, the social forestry department was criticized for taking monospecies plantations. What is your opinion? I mean,
actually, that kind of a thinking is not correct, I would say. What is necessary is a tree and not a particular species, and where nothing grew before and only wastelands and strewn stones are there. See, there at least you are having trees. What particular species you are planting is just immaterial. You must have trees, you must have vegetation, because there are definite advantages of having a vegetation than having a wasteland strewn with stones. That stops the impact of the rain, and that also allows the water to percolate in the soil and all kinds of things. And then the trees also give you further usufructs and all that.
And fast growing species like Nilgiri and Subabul,
they take up afforestation very, very well.
That has saved the forest,
yeah.
Pressure on the forest, national forest. In today's program, our viewers must have noticed that at the beginning of social forestry program in 1982, more stress was given on the extension and motivation activities at all levels and especially at grassroots level. With the progress of the forestry project in the state, people were actively involved in wetland development management by providing field based training and financial assistance to non-government agencies and individual farmers. With the advent of World Bank aided Maharashtra Forestry project, social forestry activities have been increased to many fold. We will take more information about it in our next program. Thank you.